Namaste, Jai Bharat. Israel has created problems for Hamas. Yeah. The Hamas was peacefully existing under tunnels in Gaza, and then Israel has destroyed their peaceful existence. Their peaceful existence is to kill others and attack Israel, innocent people, and celebrate that with all kinds of show. So now Hamas is almost ruthless. They have resorted to come to Pakistan occupied Kashmir. And now it really should be the case, or is the case, that Hamasians or Hamas had moved their locus to Kashmir, Pakistan occupied Kashmir, and the people of Kashmir in Pakistan's occupation are already miserable, emotionally as well as physically, because their living conditions are miserable. They don't have anything, so to say. So they are already under oppression by the Pakistani army, and now they started putting Hamas. Now, this is always the case that from locals, many could be recruited and amalgamated into their fold. Same thing they had been doing in our Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, the real original Kashmir, for a long time. But with the withdrawal of the special status, which was allowed through in Article 370, the Pakistani youth, they were susceptible to be lured into movement against Bharat by Pakistan. That thing has come to more or less a standstill. There are very few people. Still, there could be people, but not like that as it used to be before. Now, what happens? They have other opportunity. Youths, they have opportunity. They can work, they can earn, they can live comfortably. Why should they go killing others in the name of whatever religion or promised land after death? That's how it works. But it doesn't work for a long time. It works for a short time. But the situation, if it is so that the people, the youth, have nothing else to do, then of course it's possible that they'll go more easily than otherwise. This situation is completely changed in Kashmir. They have it's open for tourism, and then a lot of changes came in Kashmir with the withdrawal of Article 370. With the special status in Kashmir, there was something like the poetry of lotus eaters. They were living blindly and have been getting nothing. Some people who were at the helm of things, through politically, were amassing wealth, both land, money, all kinds of things, and also authority. They were living in luxury, but the people of Kashmir never enjoyed anything, in spite of them being a part of Bharat. Now, when this article was removed, Kashmir has become one, just like any other state. Elections were conducted, and their party won, etc. And now the people have something to do. Nothing. You can start from nothing, because the tourism took off in Kashmir. All people in Bharat these days, they all want to go to Kashmir. Previously, no one used to wish to go to Kashmir. They never wanted to go to Kashmir. But now things are okay. The people really want to go to Kashmir, especially in these summer season. They want to go to Kashmir, and they keep going. This facilitated a lot of income for the people by way of the mules they carry, the horses, on horseback they take people, which is there in Jammu. It was unhindered. Those who visit Vaishnav Devi, they can go up to 15 kilometers climb through hills to the temple. We can use horses, and the horseman used to walk with us up down. That's his daily routine. So similarly, tourist spots could be the tourists could be taken on horseback these places, and the horsemen used to make good income, very good income. And then there are small time resorts, shops, buying and selling. All this movement. People come from outside. They have buying power. Then you can sell things. So Kashmir was limping back to normalcy, and people were comfortable with all those things. There were no gunpowder, There was no fire, gunpowder and fire. They were not stone pelting. Previously, the children used to go and throw stones at our army, by 400 rupees a day. And the money also is not genuine. The money Pakistan used to print in their place and distribute among these people 500 rupees per day. They go and pelt stones at the army and whatever, all kinds of nuisance they were asked to do, and they were doing it. That used to be the situation. Now things have changed, and Kashmir is developing fast. So many things happened in Kashmir, so many things which are there in front of any, to repeat the history. Railways, this thing, that thing, people's flowing, and people flowing in should also be money flowing in. So things are going smooth, and this, of course, is something much, much more beyond what Pakistan could afford to watch and see. They themselves can't do anything; they're incapable, because they're mostly controlled by the army, and the army just have nothing to do with diplomacy. They are forces who are trained to kill, and and they are not much into thinking, not much into lectures. I'm sure that you haven't heard of an army man who's a poet, or some kind of this kind of army people who's a poet. You must have certainly heard. They have different kind of thoughts and visions, especially when, see, we go for short service commission. If it's some time and come back, they will benefit with the army discipline. But if someone decides to spend his life in the army, after even if it's youth is something that we should give to the nation. One should join the defense forces at a young age. This is personally what I think. But after some time, when you're going to get married, you should leave that, because then you can no more function as a genuine and authentic soldier. That's it. That part we have done, and then you come out and live like normal civilians. But when a person continues in the army, the whole mind is patterned into nothing else other than army. And this kind of diplomacy and geopolitics, these things are not in his capacity. So, but under the army rule, they find it very difficult to see this progress Kashmir is making. They wanted to do something and they were looking for a chance. They had been attempting, they had been trying, something went wrong. In the meantime, they could somehow revitalize their sleeper cells in Kashmir, our Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, and tried. There are people who are still, but much, much lesser than what it used to be. And this thing happened, the Pahalgam attack. And then the pattern is not entirely different. The pattern, it was completely a Hamas operation. Now, Lashkar-e-Taiba joined hands with Hamas and creates a proxy out for some friend, and they wanted that name to be used. And Pakistan's defense minister officially says that Lashkar-e-Taiba is not existing. Yeah, it's not existing in its formal form, in his words, but it is existing. But then they have created a branch, their proxy, some friend, then I forget the name, some friend, and they wanted only that name to be used, because they wanted to claim to the international community that this is not Lashkar-e-Taiba. It means they indirectly accept the Lashkar-e-Taiba, Jaish-e-Mohammed, all these things, etc., are their creations. Their creations, because they can't fight a war with Bharat. So they go for this proxy thing, like what Iran does. They have the blessings of Iran in that sense, though the Shia Sunni conflict is there. That way there will be one. But this kind of terrorist activities, there is mutual support, mutual consent, mutual understanding, mutual taking help from one another. So they can't fight, so they create proxies. They know the Pakistan army, at least they're conscious that they can just fight a battle with Bharat, and they don't have that kind of soldiers also who are dedicated to the nation, because their nationalism is not so founded on any solid grounds. It's mostly emotional. They speak but do nothing. That's a typical Lahori Punjabi attitude. They speak, they talk anything. Sky is the limit, but they can't do anything. Zero should be their performance. Zero is normally their performance. So that's how the army really proxied this. And this, even in Kargil case, the army did it. the civil administration didn't know. Here also must be the same case. And then they get the civil administration to support them. The government, defense minister comes and says, Lashkar-e-Taiba does not exist. It means that we have nothing to do. It also means they had something to do before they had the creation of, with all these things, the common sense. One need to go into that kind of deep analytical understanding to understand that Pakistan is a terrorism factory. That's one thing they produce. Great producers. Other nations, no. We call China as great manufacturers of the world. They manufacture the most. Of course, at the instance of the US and other large companies. But Pakistan really manufactures terrorism in a considerable extent because they use the instrument of religion to create the terrorist movements and terrorism in the entire world. And because Bharat is the prime target for them, they had right from the day one of their separation from Bharat, they were trying to think that they were somehow equal to Bharat, and they always were conscious, at least subconscious level, that they can never approximate the status of Bharat for various reasons. The list shall be endless, various reasons. Now this thing happened. Now they pretend, in a sense, they keep talking to people, they keep making. There was a recent press conference. Couple of ministers, or sometimes nearly 10 people, 10 ministers, etc. sit, and mostly it's the army who is coming in uniform and speaking. So we have nothing to do with this and that. They are trying to say one thing that we don't know. All right, I don't want to argue on that. They say that. But then what should be a role of China in it? So look at the time which Pakistan selected is the Vice President of the United States in part of the family, and our Prime Minister is going to Saudi for a trade business discussion, official visit, whatever. They invited or not, whatever. He went there for some discussion, and he had to cut short his visit and come back, all those things. And is it the case? Is it a possibility that China has a hand in it, or some kind of indirect blessing to the Pakistani army? He could do something possible, because China has always wanted, especially after this last 25 years, when they were economically making stable, steady progress, they wanted to substitute the US and become so-called the world police. They near succeeded, because they could make a progress very easily for 2-3 reasons. One, they have reaped the advantage of communism through the rigid Iron Curtain law, though that's not communism what they do. And they also reaped the advantage of capitalism through promoting many industries. Now China is thriving in the sense all manufacture. They're the greatest manufacturers in the world. Let's accept the fact. They manufacture. So their youth, unlike what they see in Kashmir in the past, the youth are engaged. Once they are engaged, they are comfortable, and they don't bother about the rule. The only thing is that in China, no one has freedom. China has only one party, which is so-called Communist Party, which is headed by somebody who is practically and theoretically a dictator, structurally and functionally dictator. So you just do your work. If you are a member of party, is fine. You don't want to be a member of party, that's again fine. You just keep your doing. Don't think, talk anything against the state. State is the ultimate authority. That's the structure in China. It means they have borrowed from communism the kind of discipline they wanted. The discipline means oppression they wanted, where no one can touch. So look at Bharat. We are the biggest democracy in the world, and look at this. Whatever the government does, this opposition Rahul fellow stands up and talks nonsense. He really talks nonsense, but nonetheless he talks. And he talks against the government. Whatever opposition he understands as simply opposing whatever happens. He has no interest in the nation, that's very obvious. He has no interest. None, I mean, even his family also didn't have any interest in this nation's welfare, well-being, or they don't belong to this nation emotionally. So that kind of opposition takes place, and there's a caucus always with him who are benefiting, because the only the only thing what they know is doing politics. Like the army, the only thing what they know is to go for battle. So this is the only thing which they know right from childhood. They don't know anything else. Have been doing nothing else. So this is how they are politicking. So look at Bharat. Whatever noble measures, good measures, effective measures, whatever positive things the government does, these people continuously oppose it. That's the nature of democracy. That's the nature of democracy. We have to pay for it. In spite of that, we have to pay for it. And we accept democracy because we understand that that's the best way of governance. Undoubtedly, with all these drawbacks, democracy still is the best way of governance. So that, of course, people of freedom. People may not use it positively. That's all. That's a people's problem. Freedom can't be imposed. Also, so freedom is choice. So that's it. That's it. China doesn't have this problem. China doesn't have this problem. They would instantly make anything implemented. They simply implement like this. There's no question asked. No one opposes. Things go as the governance wants, the government wants. They want to flourish. They want to become richest. Of course, they did. They become the richest, and they also try to develop and modernize their army. And they have really modernized to whatever possible. What should be the fighting spirit of the Chinese soldiers is a question different. But they have modernized, they are equipped, they become rich, and they have everything. So, is it possible that they wanted to give a small message to US that don't interfere with anymore, we can do this, like what happened in Kashmir? I don't know. That's quite possible. They must have told, supported Pakistan. Must have. I'm just speculating. Must have facilitated the mind of this Munir guy, the Munir soldier, to do this kind of things, which should which should go as a message to the vice president who was present at that time in Bharat. Now, these kind of things do happen, and the only thing Pakistan wants is a war. Pakistan really wants a war because primarily they are not bothered about poverty or miseries that would result for them. They wanted to become heroes, and army officers, senior officers, generals, etc., the general kind of people, they wanted to become heroes, war heroes, and they don't mind getting the people killed. They don't mind getting the people into poverty, misery, and lawlessness, whatever. And same is the case in Bangladesh. They also, the Yunus also doesn't bother about this anything in Bangladesh. He wants to continue in power. And this Munir guy is, I think, very ambitious. He has some hopes to become some kind of a dictator in Pakistan. And army rule is nothing new to Pakistan. They keep changing, and none of their elected prime ministers, whosoever it is, has never completed their tenure in the parliament. So all these uncertainties are there, and they want Bharat to fight Pakistan because they don't care about the future of Pakistan. These people know that if there's a battle between Bharat and Pakistan, who takes advantage is the Baluchis. The Baluchis would use the opportunity to become independent, and it's quite possible for them. The Pathans, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they would also become independent, and somebody else also want to become independent using the opportunity. Even that these people doesn't care. Even if Pakistan breaks into four, this army Munir doesn't care. I can't say he's not conscious. He should be at least a lettered person to some extent, and he's not bothered. He doesn't care. He already sent his family to New Jersey somewhere where he makes the money they grab and some of swindle money and deposit in foreign banks. So he must be having some settlements in US. I heard that he sent his family and children to New Jersey, safe haven, safe place, according to him, and then tries here. Now US is ruled by Trump. Let's see what his luck brings. So these are the kinds of things happening. Totally uncertainty within Pakistan. Till now, Bharat, there's no change in our existence. The army and the military installations are on very, very high alert, but the normal citizen's life is just going as usual. As usual, no one is tensed. They wanted, Pakistan wants religious conflict on the street, but which can't be a case so big at all if they create. There may be incidents only sporadic. They themselves will contain it. This is not possible in the mental makeup of people of Bharat. They wouldn't like to kill one another in that scale, large scale, in the name of religion, whatever. But they will keep trying to create differences, distinctions, and then they keep failing on the long run. So they try for these kind of things. But otherwise, life is as normal as usual in Bharat. But Pakistan's situation is different. They want us to, but I don't want our nation to go for a war because we value the lives of our soldiers, unlike Pakistani army will abandon the dead bodies of soldiers and run from battlefield. We don't want to get people killed from both the sides. If there are other ways of suffocating, let's see how things will develop. But this is an overall unfortunate situation, just because of the nitwit thinking of a few people who will use all kinds of means, including religion, to thinkingly that they would like to achieve. We'll meet again. Namaste. Jai Bharat. Jai Sri Ram.